Pluto, remember, is the outer planet of truth, power, transformation, depth. And so we're really getting to the and tapping into the deeper truth, the more raw truth. So Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius right now. So it's in the future-oriented sign of Aquarius, the sign of earthquakes, lightning bolts, unexpected developments, change, progressive values, right? So many of those themes we can see transpiring in the collective. However, Pluto is retrograde and will be returning to Capricorn. It is going back over territory it has already covered. So as Pluto is going retrograde, it will return to Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign Pluto has been in since 2008 until recently. We've had some time with Pluto and Aquarius, but you can see some deeper confrontation with limitations, mortality, aka a pandemic. These themes that are happening in the collective, in the bigger picture. And when we think about the planets and astrology as giving us a deeper peek into this bigger story, this bigger evolutionary process that we are going through collectively, human beings are having these energies express themselves through us and through our experience. So when we look at that bigger story, we get a bigger sense, a bird's eye view, if you will, of what is going on, how it can be framed in terms of a bigger story and a bigger process. So that was a lot of introduction, but I am, of course, Marina Orms, and I'm an astrologer of 30 plus years. I've always focused on using astrology to support our healing, empowerment, transformation in positive direction. So how we can think of it as a tool for supporting us in our own self-care, our wellness, our well-being, and moving more in, over time, moving more in that direction, moving toward the things we want and the happy, healthy, joyful lifestyle that we want to experience. So I'm Marina Orms, and I'm here on August 11th, 2024, talking to you about where these outer planets are. Specifically, today I want to dive in with looking at Pluto, looking at touching probably a little bit on some eclipses that are coming up in September and October, between now and a little small tiny thing that's happening in the United States, an election coming up in November. So and that is an experience that is shared, right? And so while not everybody on the planet lives in the United States, obviously, these energies show up in different countries and different ways. I know about mine and my home country, so that's the one I'm talking about, but you can obviously extrapolate this to your own experience and how things might be unfolding in your corner of the world if you live outside of the United States. So, and many people have eyes on what's going on here, right? So the thing is that this bigger picture of a shared experience, it has the feeling and the vibe of something that we are going through together, right? This is very different from, a natal astrology reading or a natal, your own personal natal chart and your transits. Those are all very personal, and you can definitely use those to get insight into your own evolutionary process, how you can think about the best ways to support yourself in your own healing process and creating that evolution toward your ideal life. But this is about who we are in the collective. So it is about shared experiences where the planets are right now. I mean, they're always somewhere. So there's always a collective experience. But this one that we're noticing is the shift from Pluto, outer planet. If you remember from grade school, the Pluto is the furthest planet out in our solar system, and in astrology, the furthest out represents the deepest. So in terms of our soul's evolution, sort of this deeper place of truth and power, and our own feelings of what brings empowerment, how we can stand in our power, that kind of thing, relates to the planet Pluto. So Pluto has been in Capricorn, and that means that collectively we're going through this well, it's a completion of sorts, but it's also a recognition of the way that our systems and structures, our infrastructures, our ways of being organized, our government, our politics, our systems and how things operate, which is Capricorn. Capricorn is how we create systems and rules that we can use to operate within. It doesn't mean the rules are always perfect, but it gives us a system. It gives us a framework, and that is the power of Capricorn, to organize, to give things structure. So the thing about Capricorn is it's an earth sign. It's a cardinal earth sign, and cardinal just means creative. But it is one that has to do with how our deeper process of truth and power and transformation, which is Pluto, is unfolding in the realm of Capricorn, which is systems, structures, institutions, government, authority, father figure, patriarchy, all those kinds of things. So in other words, Pluto is bringing us an opportunity to say, here is what must change. And the thing about Pluto is that it doesn't give you a whole lot of choice. It says you can change or die, right? You can. So it is saying you will change. You will give up your old ways of seeing things, your old ways of doing things. So as Pluto has gone through Capricorn, a bigger story has been coming through about how we need to change our systems, structures, institutions, government, rules, ways of organizing, ways of operating, the ways that we view authority, and perhaps how we might view our own authority, right? Shifting to our inner authority, to take a stand, find our backbone. Those are all good Capricorn possibilities. And so this bigger story is saying you must change. And that is what has been happening, right? Like, the things that gave us comfort in the past, the ways that we might want to return to or cling to that past, the conservative values, the ways of saying, hey, I liked it the way it was before. Let's go back to that. That is the place where Pluto in Capricorn is saying, yeah, but the old ways of doing things were problematic. And so how are you going to really think about the foundations of the problems you have and get to that deeper place of building, which Capricorn is creative. So building new structures to hold you going forward. So that is the bigger work, the bigger story of Pluto in Capricorn. So now we can think of all of that as hard, hard work, very, very serious feeling, which is very Capricorn. Capricorn is serious. It's hard work. It is the feeling of lack in many ways, right? The feeling of having to do with what you have. And so there's this feeling of struggle. And what happens when when Pluto goes from Capricorn to Aquarius is we go from the sign of effort and hard work into the sign of shift and change, of progressive values, of a vision for the future, right? They're almost opposite in terms of Capricorn looking to the past for solutions, right? So the answers must be in the way I did things before, because that's what I know. And that is absolutely how Capricorn works. But remember, Pluto's going through Capricorn saying it's not going to be, you can't keep it the way it was. It's just not possible. And then when Pluto goes into Aquarius, we shift into this energy that is focused on the future. So what is possible? What could we have if we let go of the limitations of the past? You see how that viewpoint changes. And so we can see that, of course, evolving and unfolding in the collective, in the news stories that are appearing, and really in the personalities that show up and have been part of this bigger public collective story. And so what I'm getting at is that we think it's about the person, all the different characters we have in the story, in the drama, and but when we think about, okay, this bigger picture, this bigger story is going to happen, and now these characters show up and they play these roles, and these roles are part of what we need to become who we must become. Remember, we must change. So if we can shift our thinking to this bigger picture perspective, where it's not so much about the individuals, the individual storylines, the little different conspiracy theories or whatever it is that is the drama du jour. Instead, we can think about it as all of these as forces that are driving this deeper collective transformation. So when Pluto goes into Aquarius, we are swimming in different water. The water of Aquarius is the water of instant change. Capricorn Capricorn says, you got to work so hard for this. You got to suffer. You got to get dirty. You got to be like battered and bashed by the end of this, thing that you want, and you have to earn it. And the only way you're going to earn it is by, working as hard as you can. So Pluto in Aquarius says, change happens like lightning. Change happens like an earthquake. So first of all, recognize where we've been, right? We've been with Pluto in Capricorn. So Pluto was in Capricorn. I don't have the dates in front of me, but 2008, which was the election and inauguration of President Obama. And then so from 2008 through 2022, I think we had, or 2023, we had, anyway, we had this beginning of Pluto dipping into Aquarius and then going retrograde back into Capricorn. So one of the things that happened in 2020, pandemic year, right? 2020 was a triple alignment of Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter in Capricorn. So one of the reasons I can't remember exactly when Pluto went into Aquarius is because the first thing that happened is that Jupiter and Saturn joined up, formed their exact conjunction at the very, very beginning of Aquarius. So we had that flash of Aquarian energy as Saturn went into Aquarius. Now Saturn's in Pisces. Saturn spends 2.5-ish years in a sign. So we had first Saturn, which is the ruler of Capricorn, Saturn going into Aquarius, bringing the beginning of this experience of how things can change, how ideas can surface quickly, how activism, grassroots movements, progressive values, a focus on the future, civil rights, freedom, equality, those kinds of things. And so one of the first ways that showed up was in the George Floyd protests. And so you could see how this and the Me Too movement, right? That the shift on the ground suddenly of feelings there's kind of a flashpoint, and these ideas surface quickly. So we're experiencing that now in how we saw the unfolding over a matter of weeks of President Biden having, a slow speech during his debate, and that triggering, whatnot. And I won't go into all the details, but then stepping down and, Kamala Harris. And so you could see, first of all, how quickly things have changed. Pluto is in Aquarius now and has been in Aquarius since January 20th of this year. And then it was in 2023 as well. So in and out, right? It's been going in and out over the last couple of years. So you can see the different vibe of Pluto being in Aquarius and how things change in a different way, right? So from Pluto in Capricorn, where it's like, oh, okay, we can do this, right? We got this. Like, I'm nearly dead, but I'm going to keep going. That kind of vibe, to Aquarius, where suddenly it's like somebody opened the window, and the new ideas, the energy, the enthusiasm, joy, freedom, those are the themes. New ideas, future forward, we're not going back, these progressive values, just in the sense of being future oriented. Like, what could we create if we sort of let go of some of the limitations of the past? And Pluto going into Aquarius brings the feeling of that the bars of the prison, coming off. The door opens, you are released. You are released from the prison. So instead of working hard, now we have to get used to the way that things manifest with Pluto in Aquarius. The way they manifest is you're just like an earthquake, right? It doesn't happen all at once, but it's invisible before it happens. So it's all moving, it's all being organized. The earth is shifting, things very, 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 very slowly moving, putting pressure, building until one day it just changes, right? The earthquake happens. and the same probably with lightning bolts, right? Something happens to the electricity, and it builds up, and suddenly it flashes. So that's the kind of energy we are in now. There is going to be more of this. So Pluto is retrograde, will be returning to Capricorn. More on that in a minute. September 1st through November 19th, Pluto will be in Capricorn. And then, so Pluto goes direct somewhere in the middle of that. I can't remember the exact date. But once Pluto goes direct and returns to Aquarius on November 19th, it remains in Aquarius until 2043. So we have 19 years ahead of us of this Pluto in Aquarius energy, this earthquake change kind of energy. And what we're going to be doing for the next 19 years. So again, recognize we do not have to fix everything today because we have the next 19 years coming to innovate, to invent, to get new ideas, open to new possibilities and new solutions, future focused, opening the door to new ideas. That we have time to do that. So we don't have to fix it all right now. And we won't. Okay, so now what's going to happen with Pluto returning to Capricorn? And I've been thinking about this a lot. And one of the things that I think or see in the energy is that we are not done yet. We are not done with the work of Pluto in Capricorn. We are not done with the bigger story of how we need to transform. So one of the things, astrologers have a special name for the final degree of a sign. It's called the anaretic degree. And the anaretic degree of a sign, which is 29 degrees of a sign, has to do with completion, conclusion, also recognizing what unfinished business you will be carrying forward as that planet enters the next sign. So there's a real sense of having been around the block with that energy. And in this case, we're talking about Pluto in the final degree of Capricorn, Pluto retrograding into the final degree of Capricorn and then going direct back out of 29 degrees Capricorn. So in other words, Pluto retrogrades into Capricorn, but never makes it past 29 degrees. So in that 29 degrees of Capricorn, we are bringing to a culmination the energy of the work of Pluto in Capricorn. Remember that hard feeling of, okay, we can do this. So that energy is coming back. We will have this feeling, and I believe, I feel in the energy that what's going to happen is we're immediately going to think, we were wrong to think that freedom is possible, or on some level to begin to doubt our connection to that freedom, the feeling that things can change suddenly. Now we're going to go back to remembering, oh no, remember how hard things really are. And so we have these old patterns built into us. And when we don't know how things work, when we are in the unknown, we go back to those old patterns for knowing what to think, right? Knowing which way is which. So we're going to have the temptation to return to that Capricorn energy and feel the oppression, the limitations, the seriousness, the hard work, the way, that fear of being trapped, almost like, the limitation and the feelings of sort of being stuck in that, Capricorn prison. So the thing is, that is very temporary. And now, we also have to remember this is the end of the Capricorn energy. So there's a real feeling of being jaded, like, whatever we hope and beliefs we might have had at the beginning of Pluto in Capricorn, we are now much more seasoned, much more deep fried at this point, and dealing really with the trauma of what we've been facing. So there's going to be a temptation to protect ourselves and to say, I'm not going to allow myself to believe in the future, to have that feeling of hope, because because of what we've been through, right? It's been hard. And so we have to remember, first of all, that it is temporary, and Pluto will return to Aquarius and will stay there until 2043, after November 19th of this year, which you will notice is after the November election on November 5th of 2024 in the United States. So, we as we contend with the past, the limitations, the feelings of restriction and oppression and the opposite of freedom, there will be a temptation to, I don't think we're going to give up. I don't think that that's how, I think there's also a spirit of gathering, organizing, planting the seeds, laying the foundation, putting down the roots, saying, we having that conviction, which is also very Pluto in Capricorn. So we need to stay connected to the reality of this bigger story of how things are changing, how the energies are actually pressuring us to become what we are capable of, which is why Pluto in Capricorn felt so hard, because we had to confront some of the deeper issues and problems and corruption and some of the brittleness and fragility of a system that has just not been upgraded recently enough. And looking at, as I've mentioned on this YouTube channel, of course, looking at some of our problematic roots, Capricorn past, of the economic foundations of the United States being based on slavery and inherent racism, systemic racism, misogyny, women's rights. And clearly that has been the issue of the day, right? Are we going to go back? Are we going to return to that restrictive kind of environment? And by the way, Capricorn also has to do with hierarchy, right? Categorization. So this idea that some people are better or more capable by, their category, whether that's race or religion or whatever it is, that is very Capricorn. And so Aquarius is very community oriented. It's very equalitarian. It says, hey, you've got a piece of the solution, and I've got a piece of the solution. Let's work together. So that's where we're heading. There are themes of freedom, equality, equal rights, establishing systems that are based in the future and what we want to create. That can be very innovative, outside the box thinking. You can already see how politics have changed and will be different, because we just are not going back to the way things were. Remember, it must change. And so if you're my age or older, you remember, what things were like in the 70s and 80s and 90s, right? Like, how things just, you just knew how things worked. Things are like, the government does this and you do this, and if you do it according to the rules, this will happen. Some of that feeling is just going to change. And so new governments, new systems, new outside the box solutions to problems. And I pointed out on one of my earlier videos that the American Revolution took place, or I forget the exact dates, but basically during the same transition from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius. And the time frame with Pluto in Aquarius was when they were creating the structure of the new democracy, right? And deciding what it was going to be. And so now we get to, argue and make our case for what we want that new, our new democracy to look like. As long as the radical elements don't take over. So there's still this sense of rebellion, of needing to fight and know what you believe, what's important to you, what you are fighting for. Several planets are changing signs next year. So we've got Pluto in November of this year going into Aquarius, but we've also got, and has been in Aquarius, we've also got Saturn and Neptune going into Aries, more of that courageous warrior energy, which if we think about it positively can be, what do we want to fight for? What do we believe in? How do we take action? How do we move this forward? So we can, have that as a possibility as we are learning and growing and evolving. And let's see what else. Uranus will go into Gemini, bringing a focus to outside the box thinking and ideas and information that is processed at higher levels of thinking. So that could be kind of refreshing. So many changes are on the way. However, before we get there, we've got between September 1st and November 19th, where we will have this return, Pluto's re-entry to Capricorn, where we will be confronting again, and for the last time, having this opportunity to do the work, the hard work of completing, what it is we need to learn with Pluto in Capricorn. So, and I've been saying this ever since Pluto went into Capricorn, that this is about how we respond. Capricorn is also the sign of responsibility. So it is not about, and never has been about, hiding our heads in the sand, pulling the blanket over your head and waiting until it gets better. I remember in 2016 and 2017, that was really a thing, right? Like people were like, can I just hide until it's all over? And it's like, no, again, this is about change, and this is about how we respond. So we have the responsibility to do our own transformational work, right? Learn the things we need to learn, figure out how to take care of ourselves, which is what we're doing on this YouTube channel, and create structures. Think about what kind of structures we really want, that would really work for us, what doesn't work, sort of managing all of these different limitations that we have, and how we want to interact with those limitations, whether they be government and its system of rules, or the limitations of democracy, or the healthcare system, the educational system, whatever system is your area that impacts you closely. So these few weeks from September 1st to November 19th of Pluto in 29 degrees Capricorn for the final time until, it'll happen again in a couple 250 years or so, but for now, this is it, right? So this is it as far as Pluto in Capricorn being an opportunity for us to step into our own responsibility. So that's going to mean something different for each of us, and what your responsibility is for yourself, for your community, for your family, for the world you inhabit, for the environment, climate change. What is the part that you have to play in showing up and saying, here's what's not working, and here's how it could work better, and here's how I am participating in that. And you don't have to save the whole world. That's a beautiful thing. There are millions and millions of us, and you know, those of us who aren't paying any attention at all are there too. So, but those of us who are paying attention and stepping into what we can do to make a difference in our own little ways, all of it adds up. And so all you have to do is your part. And the way that you do your part is do what brings you joy, do what makes you feel free and spacious. Pluto in Aquarius is going to be asking us to connect with those qualities of joy, freedom, spaciousness, outside the box thinking, getting to a higher level of thinking and problem solving. So clearing the way for new ideas. And the way that we do that is we let go of the thinking of the past. You know, I feel like I'm kind of going on a long time with this one, but it feels really important. So, so to remember that when we experience how change works, to remember that the way change works in Capricorn is that we work hard and we push the boulder inch by inch up the hill, and we don't rest until, you know, something something happens, maybe when we're dead, I don't know. And then the way that change happens with Pluto in Aquarius is we're moving, we're moving, we're moving, we're moving. It's invisible. It's all below the surface. We can't see anything happening. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And then boom, it's all changed, different. Now, suddenly it is different in a way that we will not go back. I mean, no matter what happens, that slogan of "we're not going back" is literally how it works. We cannot go back. So, so what is going forward look like, and what is the challenge of that, and how do we become who we must be to create constructively, to build new things, new solutions, solve the problems that we have brought to the surface. It's not that they weren't there before, but maybe we're a little bit more aware of the problems, the root causes, you know, and how we can address that. So working together in communities, honoring and recognizing equality, equal rights, how we do things in grassroots movements together with our neighbors, together with our differences. That is all very Pluto in Aquarius. So hang in there, because the time of Pluto returning to Capricorn, and I don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, I just know it has that feeling of going back to the Capricorn vibe, and how that will show up, how we will be asked to respond to it. I don't know the details, but that's the vibe that it has. And so it is about discovering who we are, how strong we are, laying the foundations and roots and planning and strategy for moving forward, thinking about the future, and at the same time as we have some completion to do, and some more, a little bit more surfacing of what is the root of the problem. So I think that's what we're going to be looking at around the election. And yeah, it's really, this process is evolutionary and it's happening. And so we have to get on board with where the future is calling us to go, and the rest will sort itself out. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I didn't even touch on the eclipses, so I will do that in a future video. This just felt important, and like it's been what I have been thinking about and wanting to share with you in terms of really getting into a deeper analysis. So thank you so much for being here. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video. Share it with a friend. I so appreciate you. I love your comments and your likes. and subscribe for more of I have daily videos, astrological self-care. So follow me and we'll go through this evolutionary journey together. All right, see you next time. Bye for now. Oh, astrologyheals.com is where you can learn more about me, and I'm again Marina Orms. All right, see you next time.